What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's full-time reaction here from Easter Road, where it finished Hibs 2, Celtic 1. I've got Stuart and Lee with me to go over it. Lee, obviously, huge disappointment when you lose a game. Probably a bad day at the office all round. There was only 3 changes from the team that played in Munich on Tuesday, and we could hardly have got off to a worse start in the game.
Oh, yeah, terrible. I think physicality in the first half, we really struggled with Hibs' approach, and we didn't get our rhythm going. They disrupted what we wanted to do. Obviously, we've seen through the rest of the match the time wasting and things like that, which disrupted when we got going. They stopped it quite quickly, but I think defensively for the first goal, we have to look at the positioning and the pressing and the timing of Trusty and Taylor when they decided to go, because when they turned it over, the spacing behind was terrible, and then he slots it away, and a minute in, we're chasing our tail already.
Aye, that really put us in the back foot, Stuart, and Hibs have been in good form. They had good energy about them. They get their tails up with the early goal. I think for the rest of that first half, really, we struggled to carve out many clear-cut chances. I think Johnson is one where Kuhn sort of chips him in. There was loads of offsides, loads of scrappy fouls throughout the game, particularly in that first half. Just struggled to build momentum and struggled to create chances.
We did. I thought we were lacking a wee bit of cohesion, and when we were chatting during the game, used the word laboured. I think you could see that. A few of the bodies out there, not even just the physical toll, but the mental fatigue stretching over for midweek. And I think that played into Celtic's malaise in the first half. But I think Hibs scored at the start of the half, scored towards the end of the half. So that gave them a right good chance of getting a result today.
Aye, it did. It was ideal times for Hibs to score a second goal. Lee, I think, comes from a ball over the top originally, down our left-hand side, in between Trusty and Taylor. There's a bit of a mix-up, it goes out for a corner, and I think it's the second phase of that corner coming back in.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, it was them two, and we were right in front of it. They miscommunication. I don't think they had a shout of who was going to attack the ball. The Hibs player got his body in, they got the throw in, they get the ball in, and then it's put out to the left, and then the cross in. A bit of criticism about Schmeichel. I think we were just talking, there was 3 of them there, Ida, Trusty and Vickers, and none of them dealt with it, and the boy got, it wasn't a great header, but did enough to go in, and then, like you say, right on half time, we're chasing our tail for the second half, and then you're looking for a response from the manager, and by God, he just made 3 changes, which we talked about. He doesn't often do at half time.
Aye, sure, we were talking about that at half time, and a lot of people saying changes he was maybe making. Brendan Rodgers is not known for making loads of changes at half time. He usually likes to wait to that 60-minute mark, but having said that, we're not 2-0 down at half time very often either.
No, that's true. I think it tells you 2 things. One, he was very unhappy with Celtic's first half performance, and 2, he thinks his squad is nowhere near deep enough to compete on the European front and be able to stand the rigours domestically as well, because he brings in the 3 first choice players you would suggest.
And then none thereafter. I mean, we were saying that there was no more subs.
After that.
So you obviously think that was his best opportunity.
It's like he'd played his cards at half time.
Yeah,
didn't he?
that's the right way to put it.
I think so. And I think the other factor to remember is Martin O'Neill always used to say that it was the response after a disappointing result in Europe that would tell you a lot about it. And I think Celtic, they had a goal maybe quite soon after the break, and they had a few near things but weren't quite able to do that. So I think the fact that Hibs withstood that kind of early tide was probably key in them managing to carve out the win today as well.
Yeah, I don't think any of the 3 the boys that came off at half time could have any complaints. Lee, Taylor I thought was poor. McCowan, who's been really good coming into these domestic games, I don't think he really got going. There was a lot of second balls. Hibs were winning them all in the first half. And Ida up front was really, really frustrating. There's that, talking about chances, Johnson's one where the keeper makes a save in the first half. The other big chance doesn't actually become a chance because he does down the left-hand side, and I think he's got Maeda and Kuhn free in the box, and he just can't sort his feet out to take a touch and find them in the middle. I think all 3 of them could justify.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the first half was... we were talking about being laboured. It just couldn't get things done quick enough. How many times? Come on! It was always a second touch and to get the ball away. It was a bit so, but yeah, I thought he did was really poor. We made a point between us that speaking to John Kennedy, he was pulling him over a few times, pointing, and I just don't think he knew what his role was today, and he got lost in it. Second half, obviously, when they made the changes at half time, you did see that improvement straight away. But I think you could have took 5 or 6 off at half time. You could have chose a few more because they were all off it. McCowan probably the right choice because I think you just got lost in the game a bit, and everything was compact in the middle, which Hibs wanted, and they were quite physical, and as we talked about, a bit of going down a lot and time wasting, but that was their game plan, and it worked today.
Stuart, I thought we fought well. Second half, you could tell they're heavy legged. There's a lack of quality there just in those final areas. I thought Kuhn, whenever he got in any dangerous areas today, looked a bit ragged with his final ball or his final decision. A few players like that across the pitch. Jota comes on to decent effect. We managed to get ourselves back in the game. I think the ball's cut back to Hatate on the edge of the box, and I think he goes with his left foot onto his right foot, and it loops up, and Maeda's so alive, does really well because he's right in on the goalkeeper to stab it in. And then you think we've got a bit of momentum and we can push on for equaliser. Jota has an unbelievable run from his own half, where he manages to keep it alive. He wrestles the Hibs defenders off, goes round the keeper, and you think for all the world he's going to score. I think Rocky Bashiri clears it off the line. I just thought he'd a split second longer just to compose himself and find a corner. He'd have scored it.
It'll come, and he's getting better and better as the games go on. Actually, prior to Celtic's goal, there was a period where it was almost like a conveyor belt of Jota trying to create things and putting crosses in and taking on his man. And what we've got to remember is this is a player that's not just building back to match sharpness, but is rebuilding his confidence after a really fraught time since departing Celtic. So now that he's back, we need to nurture him along. And don't get me wrong, it's important in these games that we do have the right people on the pitch at the right times to try and make sure that we come away with the points we need domestically and the wins we need to sweep up everything we can on all fronts. But I think with Jota, I think it's very, very easy if you just watch like Celtic in the main to not recognise just how difficult it got for him. And I think it has been reported a wee bit. And he's back here. He knows the fans have got their arms round him. Teammates, I'm sure, do. The manager does. And I think sharpness is coming, confidence is coming, and there's going to be some point, like before the end of this domestic campaign, where he is blitzing in goals and assists right, left, and centre, and it's coming.
Aye. We did get an equaliser just after the 80-minute mark, I think it was. I think it's Kuhn. Again, Johnson made so many overlapping runs today. I think he's just a bit heavy on the pass. Yep. Looks live, like Johnson kept it in, stabs it back. The goalkeeper sort of spills it. Maeda's there to smash it in. You think we've got the equaliser. Now, the linesman, near side linesman who can see it, doesn't give the balls out. The referee certainly doesn't rule out the goal. And then VAR rules out the goal. Now, it's unclear whether there's an angle on VAR, whether you can tell the ball is definitively over the line or not. But Brendan Rodgers certainly seemed aggrieved about it, and having seen it back, it's impossible to tell whether it's out or not.
We've seen it back a few times. We've been lucky enough to people sharing it in the WhatsApp groups and things, and there's a split, and that's the key bit about the whole thing. There's a split, so it'd be interesting to see what the comeback is from VAR. But if they're not sure about that in that VAR department, which they obviously were today, but going by the evidence, it can't be sure, then it's an on-field decision, then it's a goal. So I have to say, Celtic were poor in the first half and Hibs did well for the win, but they're officiating the day. The stoppages in the game, they never got a hold of it early on. I say Hibs game plan, that's more than, it's up to them if they want to go and do that. But the referee, even the linesmen, they weren't communicating. I don't think they were up to play with some of the offsides. They were behind at times and the flag was going up. I thought the referee didn't let the game flow as best he could, and it'll be interesting to see what comes out after that. But Rodgers looked very.
That's as angry as I've
seen him.
Yeah,
he was right up at the fourth official.
He was unhappy about it again at the end. He's over to the linesman, the referee as well. Stuart, I think you can look at it two ways. Obviously, Hibs deserved to win the game today, but you fancied us if we'd have got that goal at that time in the game to really try and push on for a win in that last 10 minutes.
I think if that goal stands, then football's all about the psychological and momentum ebbs and flows. I think Celtic win the game. I know people think, oh well, if you couldn't manage to get a draw, aye. But I do think that would have been a sucker punch to Hibs, who'd done everything to try and scrape and claw their way to get over.
I think it's maybe the earliest I've ever seen somebody get cramp on the 60-minute mark.
Wow.
And then 70, and then 75, and then 80, and it was like every time Celtic, and like you say, Lee, it's their prerogative. Every time Celtic were building up a wee bit of momentum, the ball goes out, one player's down, 2, 3. There was a spell where
Subs going off at the wrong side of the pick, and the referee's not picking up on things.
Repeatedly.
I know there was 8 minutes added, and that's fair enough, but I just thought it's really poor officiating at times of the day.
all those things get at you when you
I know.
defeat, don't they? Lee, I think if you think back this season, after, this is just off the top of my head, after away Champions League games, Dortmund, we came back to Dingwall, won it late 2-1. I think maybe after the first Champions League game was at the 2-2 draw at home against Aberdeen. After Zagreb we had the cup final. So there has at times been that wee bit of a hangover, which again you've got to put that. The team have been so good domestically this season. I think you've got to put that down to the physical, and I think in terms of Tuesday, the mental toll on them as well. And
you see that at the full time, the pod team off the park, most of the fans can see the effort that was put in today in that second half. If we managed the first half better, I think we go on and win that. If we go in at 0-0 and we play like that in the second half and we dominate, we probably create a couple of chances to win the game. I think you look at I hate saying this word, but the bigger picture, but we're clear in the league. We've had a great campaign in Europe. We've got a cup in the bag. We've got another game against Hibs. We can that'll be good, kind of
motivation.
Pop that up on the screen. This is what they were doing in the first game. So I think everything's okay. I think there is question marks over some of the players today in terms of performance, but I don't. We were talking about it after. It's hard to go in on them when they've been so good and they put so much in. They were outstanding against Bayern Munich, and then you're going into another type of game, a different type of game. Intensity is different from the Champions League. We all know that. The quality is different, and it was a different type of game. It was a battle today for Hibs. So I think we don't want to lose games, but it's just the way it is. Unfortunately, that's football.
Stuart, we go to Tuesday, Aberdeen at home. In terms of the lineup there, any decisions, big ones for you in the lineup Tuesday?
I think the difficult thing for Brendan Rodgers going into this one is like how much does he trust his ability to rotate, but also I think you're kind of seeing now the revamped format of the Champions League and the way that the sort of schedule of games has been even more intense than usual. That's now maybe catching up just a wee bit, as well as the factor of the way that it kind of went in midweek. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how much confidence the manager is going to have below his sort of his first choice 11, you would say. I imagine because it's a game where you're going to have the fans behind you, then I think there's maybe going to be. I think he'll maybe be a bit more confident in his ability to do that. In terms of I don't think anyone that came in today gave themselves any opportunity of starting the game in particular. Like if I think about it,
the three that came off.
Aye.
Taylor.
Yeah, that started the game. So I think one thing that I would say is I think Jeffrey Schlupp has to be the man you would imagine who's going to start at left back now, because he does look a good step ahead.
They pinpointed Taylor in the first half again. Even in the second half, they didn't change it. They still went to that with the long balls, and it was everything. And Schlupp dealt with it well. I don't think Rio did well when he came on. I think
he's another one. Looked
he was way
too slow.
Oh, too slow and lackadaisical at times. So there's another decision to make. McCowan as well, and obviously Bernardo's a miss at the moment. It's a huge miss because he would rotate. He would probably came in the day.
That energy
in the midfield. So yeah, I think you're right. Rodgers has got some huge decisions to make for Tuesday.
Yeah, there you go. That's it for today, folks. Like the video, give us your own thoughts on the game. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you during the week for the build up to that game against Aberdeen. Cheers.